There was a time when I had a house, a wife, a life that actually meant something. Then she was gone. And every month after that, the house cost me a little more than the month before. Property taxes went up, the bills went up, but my income stayed exactly where it was. I kept telling myself I'd figure it out. Next month will be different. But it wasn't. The math just didn't work. And for about 5 years, I kept believing things would turn around. One day I had to stop lying to myself about that. I was 67 years old, and when I finally sat down and looked at the numbers, I understood. If I keep going like this, I'm not going to make it. 14 years ago, I made a decision that most people thought was either very brave or very stupid. I'm curious which one you'll choose for me. I sold my house, everything in it, and I mean everything. The furniture she picked out, the tools I'd had for 40 years, her books, her coat still hanging by the door, all of it gone. Took months. And every time I put a price tag on something, I had to ask myself, is this an asset or is this an anchor? Well, most of it was an anchor because it wasn't adding anything. Not money, not purpose. It was just keeping me there. In that old life, in that grief. I just hadn't been willing to admit that yet. When the house finally sold, I sat down and paid off every single debt I had. Every last one. And when I was done, my bank account was at zero. Not almost zero, actually zero. That was the plan. I wanted to wipe the slate clean and start over, because I understood you can't build a new life while you're still paying for the old one. So the house was sold, the debts were cleared, and I had nowhere to go. I was 67 years old. No kids, never happened. No family left close by. Just a little cash to get through the month, and one question I hadn't fully thought through. Where does a man actually go from here? I looked at apartments. The numbers didn't work for me. Smaller houses. Same problem. I stayed at a cheap motel for a few days, and then one of the workers there mentioned a caravan community nearby. People living in RVs, shared spaces, activities, a real community. Now, I'll be honest, my first reaction wasn't happiness, maybe embarrassment. For 19 years I drove private cars, carried men with bags full of cash to their offices, their meetings. I knew what a certain kind of success looked like from the rearview mirror. And here I was at 67, thinking about a caravan. I thought I was in a pretty sorry state. But I went anyway. Walked around the place. I watched people talking to each other. And I thought, when was the last time I sat down and really talked with someone? Not about the house sale, not about paperwork. I'm talking about a real, genuine conversation. Warm. No agenda. I couldn't remember. So I signed up. I moved in with just a bed sheet and a few clothes, and a couple boxes I couldn't bring myself to leave behind. The first month was rough, because I'd spent years in a big house, and suddenly I found myself inside this tiny little caravan. And it wasn't like I was alone either. Every sound felt close. In those first evenings, I'd sit outside in a folding chair and just watch the other caravans. Lights on in every one, food cooking somewhere, People had gotten close with each other, visiting, watching something on TV, laughing together. I could hear all of it, but none of it was meant for me. That felt different, because I was alone in the middle of a crowd. Everyone around me was living, and I was just watching it happen. You know that feeling. I bet you felt it somewhere along the way. But after the second month, something started to shift. I started showing up to things, morning walks, evening gatherings around the fire with camp chairs and good conversation. Then someone organized a trip to a state park not too far away. I didn't want to go, but I went. And slowly, and I want to be clear, I'm making this sound easier than it was. These were genuinely hard times. Slowly, I started to feel like someone again. Not like a widower who'd sold everything and was bouncing around in some little box. There were people who recognized my face, people I could say good morning to, someone to share a cup of coffee with. Loss is like that, you know. It doesn't just take the person. It changes your place in the world, the role you played, the rhythm of your days, and building a new life. That is harder than simply clearing the debt. That's why half the people thought what I did was brave, and the other half thought it was just plain foolish. But what they didn't understand was, it wasn't just the money that was breaking me. I've been broke before. Couldn't even buy eggs for the house broke. But when you're 67, broke and completely alone, the real problem isn't the bank account. At that age, you start to feel like nothing you do from here is going to change anything anymore. That feeling is a lie. But it's a very convincing one, I'll give it that. What changed for me wasn't money. It was the moment I realized I was making decisions again. Because from that moment on, things were under my control. And that control, even over ordinary little things, changes something fundamental in a man. Because there is a real difference between drifting and moving with intention. People ask me, wasn't it painful to let go of all those things? The house, the furniture, her coat still on the hook? Honest answer, yes. Every single day of those months was painful. But here's the truth. Objects don't keep a person here with you. They just keep you looking in the rearview mirror. Your mind stuck back there. You think you're preserving something, but you don't realize you're standing still inside a house full of someone's absence. I want to say something about control, because some people misunderstand that word. Control doesn't mean you manage everything. It doesn't mean the money's right or the future looks great. It just means you're the one making the next move, even a small move, even an uncertain one. And you can say, I decided this. When I booked that first trip to the state park, I didn't know if I'd enjoy it. Didn't know if those people even wanted me there. But I was the one who decided to go. And just that decision was enough to change something. I'm 81 years old now, 82 next week. I've lived in this caravan for 14 years. No mortgage, no debt, no taxes, no big bills waiting. Every month I put $200 aside, not because I have to, but because for the first time in a long time, I actually have enough margin to make a choice. Maybe I'll use it to buy some land. A small plot, 40, 50 miles from here. Nothing fancy. Doesn't need to be. Just land. flat, quiet land that nobody else is responsible for but me. If I do it, I won't be doing it to prove I recovered. What I lost, I can't get that back anymore. The house is gone, she's gone, the things are gone. Those spaces never really fill. But if you're lucky, and if you're stubborn enough, the only thing you can do is find new spaces. Maybe not as grand as what you had, but yours, completely yours. That's what I'm doing at 81. The thing half the people called brave and the other half called foolish. I'm not saying this path is right for everyone. It isn't. Some people look at what I did and see a man who found a way through. Some see a man who lost everything